This is a video demonstration of the Dinnertime Gaming Blocker from House of Logic. To get yourself started on this, very first thing to do is to download the Dinnertime Gaming Blocker script, and we recommend also the XML file for the scheduled task, although that's not quite as essential, as we'll see in a moment. Then on this target machine, which, as you can probably see from here, is a remote desktop session, just for ease of recording the video, we're going to go and launch the task scheduler itself. Because we've got the XML file, we have the option of clicking on import task and then loading up the script. If you don't want to do that though, you can go and use the create task option here, and then you'll basically be walking through doing the same options and copying the steps from the video here. We've got the name of the task. It's going to be running for us as demo user, and you're going to need to create one task per user that you want to run this as, and to change the options on the general and the triggers page. So you might have a couple of tasks that could run if you've got a couple of users running at any one time on a particular machine. You can then set the option here. It needs to run at the log on of the machine name user, and that is TARS and then demo user here. Our action is to go and execute a PowerShell script, which is the script we've copied across. So we will want to run PowerShell.exe, and then we have the parameters of execution policy bypass. Then we've got window style hidden, and this is really important so that it runs in the background. And we finally have file and the path to the script for Dinnertime Gaming Blocker.ps1. You don't need anything in the start in option there at all. Under conditions, if you're running as a laptop, you might want to run it, take off this option so that the task will continue to run if anybody's using a laptop on battery power, but on our case we're just going to leave this as is. So with all this set, we're going to hit OK, and then the task itself will appear up here. Now before we go and execute it, we do need to go and customize things a little bit, which means we're going to go and find the script itself, and we're going to select edit, which launches the Windows PowerShell ISE environment by default. Within here we have some parameters at the very top, and what we want to do is we want to include any games that we don't want people to be running on here. So for example, let's say that Solitaire is a complete time suck to you. Then if we go and find Solitaire, then what we can do is we can launch that. We can now go down to our PowerShell window where we can go and find out what that's actually called. And I do know that it is a process that begins with S, so you could pick through all the results of this doing get process, but we're actually going to do get process S star, and that's given us a slightly shorter list, and we can find there that it says Solitaire. So if we take Solitaire and we put that in here, if I could spell Solitaire, then that will be ready to block that game as well. And this will work with Minecraft, this will work with Roblox. Again, all you've got to do is launch the game and then do a bit of digging around to work out what the process is called. And PowerShell's an option, as is the task manager, which itself should show Solitaire somewhere under here, I would expect. Where are we? There we are, solitaire.exe. Let's say that you had another application that you wanted to block. So let's have a look in the start menu and see if we've got any other things that we don't want around. Let's have a look. In fact, we could actually argue the case. Let's use Solitaire itself again for the paths option. So process paths does similar to the actual names. It's a better option if you've got something that's also used in different frameworks, e.g. Java, w.exe, which is variously used in other frameworks and applications. So what we have there is we have a path going to where it runs, and we've substituted out the actual username with this env username variable, which if you run it separately like so, will actually tell you what your username is. But within this script means that if any user who matches our conditions is part of that, then that application would also be stopped. So when the script runs, what it's going to do is it's going to first of all check the actual logged in user, just as a bit of extra protection. Strictly speaking, this shouldn't really be necessary, but if somebody manages to decide that they're going to change the settings and try and run it against your own user, let's say as a parent, if your child starts messing around, then it's possible they could try and use this to stop you playing things as well. But yeah, it's just a little bit of extra protection. If the user's not in the list, then the script will simply exit. If they are in the list, then the checking takes place to actually go and have a look at the dinner time as defined at the top of the script, and to give you some warning minutes. So in a countdown to 5 o'clock, it will then actually run and say, well, hang on, is it nearly 5 o'clock? Am I going to be turning this off? But in this case, I think we're actually going to change a couple of these variables. So it's now 15:01, and we're going to change that, let's say, to, let's go 15:04. And with that in place, and with Solitaire on there, what we're going to do is we're actually going to close this window now. So we've already got the PowerShell script set up on the task scheduler. We've got Solitaire on here. We're going to close all of these down, and we're actually going to log off. And this is where the recording will show you why we're doing this on a remote desktop. So we're going to sign out, and then we will sign straight back in again, so that we invoke the login or log on option, I should say, as part of the scheduled task. So just click the button off screen there on the other monitor. So the demo user is now logged in. First things first, we are going to go and launch Solitaire quickly. Solitaire is now running, and it is on the run up to dinner time. We'll have a look at the task scheduler. And it's got a last run result of 0x41301, which actually means it's actually running at the moment. So if we press the start key and X, and we go into details of Task Manager, we should see that we have PowerShell. We have it saying demo user. And if we go and select the actual columns that we have on here, we should be able to choose command line, which is probably lurking somewhere around here, so we haven't turned it on already. There it is. There we go. It's nearly dinner time. The game will exit in 5 minutes. Well, that's not quite true. It will exit in less than 5 minutes. So we are going to show here that we have, this is the PowerShell option that is running. So the task is still scheduled, and what we should see happen very shortly, certainly within the next minute, is that the script is going to tell us that's it, time's up, and Solitaire will close down. So the idea, obviously, with the 5-minute warning is that it will count down through that period before eventually saying, nope, that's it, time is up, and we'll then be able to abort out of the script. In fact, yes, we're given a 5-minute. I was wrong. I couldn't quite remember how I'd done this. It has a 5-minute grace period. So once this actual 5 minutes has elapsed, it will exit out. So I'm actually going to shut up for a couple of minutes, and I'll speed up the video, and then you can see that it will go through to the end and close Solitaire down. So there we go, time to stop. The game has been stopped. So in this case it was PowerShell, in this case it was Solitaire, stopped by PowerShell. As you can see, the actual script is still running. Now this is important because if you actually are to launch back into Solitaire and let's say you don't particularly want to stop gaming because you might be rather resistant to the fact that it's dinner time, shall we say. And let's if we leave this running, then what will happen within a minute is that this will just get closed down again. There won't be any further warnings. It will just get stopped. So we can again, we can speed the video up a little bit, and we can see this happen. There we go again. In fact, it's again the same notification. The game has been stopped. So that is about it. It is not a foolproof system. I fully admit that. It's something that if you do want to override, or that your children work out how to do the following, then it will not work long term. But if your kids are not that familiar with processors and how these things work, then it will quite happily sit there in the background and prevent them from gaming. It does need some specific user information to be set up, as highlighted, but otherwise it's a reasonably effective block to prevent kids running over into dinner time or whatever other time frame that you want to apply with it. So the simple option, if you want to abort out of it, is just go in, find the PowerShell task, and in the same way as you can see here, based on the command line option, and simply end task and any other app, and that will end the block on the application. That's about it. Please like, follow, subscribe the video, and keep an eye on the blog for all things interesting. And there's a few other bits and pieces about parental controls as well. Thanks very much for watching.